Welcome to your Real Estate Review with Alan Canis of Engel Völkers, Silicon Valley, your weekly getaway to the pulsating heart of the global real estate market. Join us as we bring you exclusive interviews with top producing real estate agents from around the globe. Whether you're a buyer, a seller, or just a real estate enthusiast, this is your insider look into the pros, cons, and the captivating allure of the world's most sought after locations. Let's discover where your next dream home awaits. Buckle up for a real estate journey like no other. This is your Real Estate Review with Alan Canis of Engel Völkers, Silicon Valley. Hi, everybody. This is the Real Estate Review with Alan Canis. That's me, of Engel Völkers, Silicon Valley. I am here with my truly great friend, Kamee Shrope, your favorite realtor for Northern Utah. Hi, Kamee.
Hey, how are you, Alan? So nice to be on with you today. I'm excited.
I am so glad you were able to do this. It's been a long time. I've been wanting you on the show, and so this has been a long time coming. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you asked me. It's going to be fun.
Good. So let's just dive right in. And so some of the questions that I've asked you, you already know, and some you don't, but we'll go right through it and we'll have a good time.
I love
Ready?
surprises, Alan.
Yeah. Okay, good. I like them in a little blue box from Tiffany.
Oh, it has a word. Yeah, I was going to say it has a letter T on it.
There you go. Yes. Can you start by telling us a little bit about your background in real estate?
Yeah, so I have been in the industry for about 10 years. The way that I got into it is, I don't know if it's funny, but it's a really good story. So I've always loved houses as a kid. I would drive past homes with my mom and be like, oh my gosh, like there would be like the gingerbread little, I call them gingerbread homes, but they're Tudors. And I loved it when we would drive past homes at night when the lights were on, but the windows, like the blinds were open so I could see inside and see how they decorated. And so I was always obsessed with driving down certain streets that had little Tudors and cute little bungalows and loving, like almost like being a peeping Tom, but I wasn't, just wanting to see how they decorated. And so I should have done it in hindsight years ago. When I was 19, I worked at a cosmetic counter, Montcalm Cosmetics, in a store that all you Utahns will know. Back in the day, it was called ZCMI, but it was a Utah department store that's closed. So I worked there, and this woman that would always shop from my counter manager started shopping from me when she wasn't around. And one day, she was a real estate agent, and she said to me, you need to get into real estate. You would be so good at it. And at the time, when you're young, you don't realize how young you are.
Yeah.
So dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still young, but 10 years from now, I'll realize that too. But it's like,
You are still young.
yeah, I am. So the point of it is that she said to me, you should be in real estate. Like, I will help you and all the things. But I got so nervous because I thought, well, I'm making such good money. Like, I was making commission. I thought I was making good money. I didn't want to start over and have 3 months of who knows when I'm getting paid. And so I didn't do it, but it was always in my heart. So fast forward, I get married, and that is a no longer. So, it's a good thing. But I get married and I want to do real estate then when we're living in Las Vegas. And he didn't support it. He said to me, there's so many agents out there. What's going to make you stand out from the rest? And so I was like, okay, I guess I won't do that. So then I got divorced, and I didn't know where I was going. And this is kind of how I've created my relationship with real estate. So I got divorced. I had no idea what I was doing. At the time, my ex-husband and I had moved to a small town in Colorado called Colburn, and it's like population 400 and something. So small.
Wow.
So from 2.2 million, which is what Vegas was at the time, to this population of 400 in a small town. His parents had lived there, and he actually went on vacation there. And he just was so lighthearted and like stress-free. And he said, oh, by the way, there's a gas station for sale, and there's a house on top of it, so we have no overhead. And I was like, you're crazy. We just built a house, and I don't want to move to some podunk town with deer heads hanging on my walls. And no offense, okay, but I just did not want that. So I started thinking about it, and I realized how kind of like stress-free he was being, and kind of nicer. And I thought, you know what, maybe this is what my marriage needs. Like, maybe we need to get out of the city, because we were both working in the casino industry.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and that in itself, I'm going to tell you, there's so many more stories about that. And it's crazy. And it puts you in a whole different like mindset in life. So I was like, okay, so we did it. We bought this gas station and we lived on top of it. The town was so small that it would take 5 minutes to get from one end of Main Street to the other. and there were no streetlights. So
Oh,
it's like tiny town, okay? And there was only one other gas station, and we were the only ones that had like more food and amenities, and we made like hot foods, and we were the best thing in town with the foods. We were lucky that we could cook. So it was fun. It honestly was like the most amazing experience because it was only 8 months before I realized my marriage wasn't gonna change. But I learned so much in working for myself in that 8 month period that gave me kind of like the idea or the knowledge of that I never wanted to work for a corporation ever again. I never wanted to work for anyone else when I left. I left with nothing. So
or live above a gas station.
yeah. Yeah. So when I left with nothing. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't ask for like alimony or anything like that. I just wanted a clean break, took some stuff in a U-Haul, and I didn't know where I was going. My dad took my furniture. I was like soul searching. I ended up back in Utah where I was born and raised, FYI. And I decided that over about a year of soul searching and living with my dad at the age of 36, okay? That's how old I was when this all happened. And that was hard, but I was so lucky he like took me in and said, you know what? I know you don't have a job and you have like $20,000 to your name. I'm going to help you pay your car payment and your cell phone bill when you run out. Stay here and figure it out. And it was so nice.
Oh, that's great.
It was amazing. So I found real estate. I wanted to stay in Utah, and I thought real estate was the thing I've always wanted to do. And I thought that would be the thing. I wanted to do something where I could create my own schedule. I could create a life for myself, like by design, that I desired, where I could bring in as much as I feel like with real estate, you can bring in as much as you want. If you want more,
Yes.
you just figure it out and you bring in more, right? So you dial it back if you don't want as much. And for me, I just wanted to be able to create this life where I didn't have to depend on anyone else. I could travel as much as I wanted and make my own schedule. And that, my dear friend, is what I did. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I've been in it for 10 years now. And I have just had so much fun with it. It's like I always tell everybody that real estate saved me because, where I was and how I had come into it. I have this relationship with real estate legitimately that if I ever did not have it in my life, I would feel like I lost like a very important person or something, if that makes sense. So
I can understand that.
yeah.
Well, it becomes an identity
Yeah.
for who we are and what we do. And I've said this on a few times, and a good friend of mine told me this, and she said, we're not saving lives in real estate, but we're affecting them. And it does become part of our identity and who we are.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I get it.
Yep. So that's kind of like the gist of how I got into real estate.
Okay. And we know what you did before. See how the questions kind of answer as we're going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just so that everybody knows, Kamee was just a little nervous. So
Oh, thanks for telling everybody.
it's what keeps it fun.
Yeah. Laughter's the best medicine.
What are some of the unique features or attractions Northern Utah of Northern Utah that makes it an appealing destination for when people come and that are relocating?
So that's actually a really good question that I was so excited to answer because we have a ton of people relocating here and I would say mostly what I'm getting personally is from the West Coast, like California.
Okay.
Would be my number one. Then I've got Washington, Oregon. I do get some Arizona, coming in. And then I've had a couple people from the East Coast, but
Okay.
definitely California would be number one. So we are a very desirable state to live in. And in terms of that, what I mean is like we have 4 seasons. So you've got, a beautiful spring, a nice fun summer that can sometimes be a little too hot. And then you've got fall, which who doesn't want to see beautiful like colors change, and they can get so intense and gorgeous. The mountains are just boom, like right in your face. You can either be in the valley with the mountains in your face or up in Park City in the mountains, and just be loving life. And then you have winter. And so, a lot of times we have a white Christmas, sometimes we haven't, but I mean, yeah, it's just great to have all 4 seasons. And then another thing that, like, I just feel like with all 4 seasons, you get recreational activities all year round. So obviously we're known for skiing. I don't even need to say it, right? But winter sports here are great. And then you've got hiking, biking, fishing. We've got some beautiful lakes nestled in the mountains that you can just go and hike to or drive to and camp on the shores and go fishing and just all kinds of stuff like that. The views around here are just impeccable no matter where you are. So I mean, those are just some of the things, but Alan, you probably do know that in 2034, the Olympics are coming back.
Yes, that's what I have heard. So that's the buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be all the excitement that's going to be coming up in 2024. You've got to be setting up for that has got to be huge. That's a huge undertaking for a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to start doing because it's not for another 10 years. So I'm sure that as we get a little closer here, it's going to really start hitting. But
Oh, I thought it was, I said 2024. I meant 2034.
I knew what you meant. Yeah, okay. It would be crazy already if it was 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have them in 2004, but I was so young that I don't really remember like what they were changing. They were like, building new things or, updating exteriors of buildings and things like that. But Paris is a great example because I was visiting Paris last September and then the Olympics, they had just had, and they were preparing for that and they were putting facades on all of the buildings and, like painting the Eiffel Tower and all these really cool things. So it is a big setup and maybe we need to have another podcast when it gets close so I can tell you what they're doing.
We can do that. Definitely.
Yeah, I love it. And one more thing I wanted to add about why it's great for relocation or just a desirable state to live in is because we have a very strong economy. And that is one of the top reasons that people do move here. So if you consider like what happened in 2008, our economy was not hit as hard as others. We've always been a little stronger. So before COVID, we won't talk about COVID because that was, an anomaly in and of itself. But before COVID, our rate of appreciation was between 8 and 10% every year on homes, depending on where you were. But 8 and 10% is crazy. And that was a norm. Yeah, that was a norm for quite a few years. So when I came into the industry, we were already set at that. And then there were another, I don't remember how many years before COVID hit, but another, I would say 6 years to 7 years before COVID hit. And then of course they went through the roof with that. So we don't count that. But, if you want a good rate of appreciation, it's definitely a good place to be.
That's what I've heard. And Utah, like you said, it's just a beautiful place. And so let's dive right into real estate. How would you describe the current real estate market in northern Utah? What trends should a potential relocator be looking for?
So trend-wise, right now, we're still kind of this kind of teeter market where it's very situational. Sometimes you're going to get in a multiple offer situation, but nothing like during COVID. And before COVID, we still had quite a few multiple offer situations, but it was 2 to 5 offers. But right now what you're going to get is if a home is priced appropriately and someone thinks, wow, this is a great deal. They're not the only ones who are going to think it. And most likely that home will probably go under contract over the first week, second week at the latest, potentially with 2 to 3 offers on it. But then you have the homes that are priced maybe a little bit higher than they should be. And those homes most likely they're gonna sit a little bit.
Okay.
So we have potential, there's still potential out there to negotiate offers and negotiate price down, but it really just depends on what we're looking at because it's so situational with every home.
And are you seeing most sellers putting their homes on the market that are turnkey, or are they mainly fixer-uppers? What are sellers typically doing?
A good amount. I would say we have more turnkey than anything, but there's homes that are oh, we were just renovated and you don't need to do anything to it unless you have a specific preference. And then there's the homes that are really nice. They could be turnkey, but maybe they haven't been updated in 10 years and you're going to want to come in and put it up to the newest trend. And then you have the flips for investors.
Yeah.
So, but most of them are between the middle and the higher ground of, maybe they need to be remodeled, but you could totally live in them because they're nice. And our average days on market right now for Salt Lake is about 44 days. And then that's for Salt Lake Valley, the whole Salt Lake County. And then for Park City or Summit County, you're looking at about 83 days on the market.
See, and here, if we have 44 days, it's that's death.
Really? That's awesome. I mean, that is how we were for sure. But yeah, we've kind of come over to this side of things for a minute. And this has picked up. So it was for a little bit, it was in the 60s. So we've come into the 40s. And then in certain areas, like I said, that was for Salt Lake County. But closer to Salt Lake City, you're going to see more in the 30s.
And our higher price points, and that means typically 4 million and above, those are sitting anywhere from 2 months to 6 months. but they are eventually moving.
Yeah.
It's the entry levels that are 3 million and below that are just flying off the shelf. If they're done correctly, they don't have quirks and
Right.
they're priced correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're about the same. I mean, obviously, like the luxury high end can sit for much longer.
Yeah.
And then you've got like anything around like two and under. It depends on where you're at. If you're down in the valley, I do both. So that's why I keep talking about both. But up in Park City, anything around 2.5 million, that can generally go within like 2 weeks to 40 days. And then
Okay.
down here, like in the valley, like in Salt Lake County, when you're looking at under 2.5 million, you're going to be like 3 weeks to maybe 2 months.
Gotcha. People relocating to northern Utah, what do you think some of the common challenges or pitfalls that people are facing, and how do you help them navigate through that?
So challenges I think that they would be facing would be if you move in the winter, because a lot of people coming here, they haven't experienced snow, so they don't really understand what they're getting into. But the biggest thing would just be the annoyance of moving in the winter, like, trekking your furniture and your boxes through the snow to get into your house. But the biggest thing would be also the moving companies, because if they're
Okay.
driving from out of state and it happens to be in a snowstorm, they might get delayed for, 24 to 48 hours, that sort of thing. But that's like the biggest kind of, I think, thing to look out for is if you're moving here in the winter.
And we've talked a little bit about the lifestyle. Can you go a little bit deeper into the sense of lifestyle that somebody moving to northern Utah could experience, and what are the local communities like? I'm assuming there's little sub communities.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many of those. Lifestyle, like we said, 4 seasons. So you have recreation of everything: hiking, biking, fishing, skiing, of course, snowshoeing.
Pickleball?
Yeah, of course, there's pickleball everywhere. Where, in what state would there not be pickleball? I don't even know.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But yeah, and then of course, like you can snowshoe into some beautiful areas in the mountains. We have a place called Kazi, which is, it's a dam or a reservoir, but they don't allow any motorboats or anything. So it's
Okay.
great for kayaking and paddleboarding and swimming. And it's such a beautiful, it feels like you're going through a canyon. It's so gorgeous.
Wow.
And it's really close. It's not far. So that would be some of it. We have amazing like local restaurants that are so incredible. We really do have some good food here. Like one of my favorite places is called Pago, and it's in this subdivision area neighborhood called Ninth and Ninth. And it's very walkable. Like people definitely love moving into these areas or buying kind of like investment properties to vacation rent in these areas, because you can walk to all these beautiful, like cute restaurants. There's ice cream, a little bit of nightlife, and then you've got boutiques, and it's so much fun. And you were asking about sense of community. So when you're in the Ninth and Ninth area, the coolest thing is there's this guy he has a bungalow right in the center of all of this. And you can literally walk from one of my favorite restaurants, Pago, just gonna throw it out there, go around the corner to this guy's house, and it's a 2-minute walk. And since COVID, he started this thing called the Tiny Porch Concert.
Okay.
And so he,
Oh.
during COVID, decided that he wanted to do something for people. And he just got local bands to perform every Wednesday in the summer on his porch. And it's so
Wow.
cute. Yeah. And
That's
he's done it.
fun.
Yeah. And he's done it ever since. So literally just last Wednesday, I went and we watched 2 of my friends that have this really great local band play on the little porch, and all these people come, and the guy who owns the house, he just puts out seating for people, and then you can also bring your own chairs. But he has a little kind of stand that has like the QR code for the band, and he's always like, hey, support the band, here's their QR code. He supplies water and popcorn. People bring their dogs. It's so cute. It's so
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, so when we come and visit, you've got to take us there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you have to come in the summer because it ends in October.
Okay, I'll keep that
But we'll
in
take
mind.
you to Ninth and Ninth, but we might not get to see the Tiny Porch Concert.
Gotcha. We've talked a little bit about the climate and the weather. And can you tell us a little bit more about the business climate and how businesses are doing and what to expect?
Yeah. So this kind of ties in with that. So we are the top we're number 3 in the US in the lowest unemployment rate. We've always been in the top 1 or 2, and we just kind of right now are in that on number 3, but we're at a 3.3% in unemployment rates. Not that you need to know the population for Utah, but it's like 3,270 something thousand. Okay. And out of the population,
That is amazing.
well, I do my research. Okay. But we, out of that, there's 60,000 people without jobs, and 12,000 of them have filed unemployment claims. So if that kind of gives you like an idea, but that's one of the biggest things. Our economy is just so strong. So we still continue to have, I mean, Amazon, we have tons of Amazon warehouses out here that supply jobs for people. And then we have a lot of tech companies that have moved and are still building out here to supply jobs as well. So business wise, when it comes to other people's jobs, it's really great. When it comes to real estate, still really great. Like I personally, when people say that things are slow, I say calm, because there's always going to be calm, right? Where no matter if we're in the top 1% or not, we're all going to have our calm times, which is great because then we can work on our business and spend more time with family and all the things.
I'm going to use that. We're not slow, we're calm.
Yeah, use it. I like it. It's just a better frame of mind, right?
Stolen.
Yeah. Given.
From your perspective, what are the top benefits for someone considering moving to Northern Utah?
I would say that obviously you've got this beautiful state, right? Like the views are impeccable. We have great economy, like I've already said. But also you're going to build some great equity on your home. Like we're one of the highest states, or the best states with like that builds the highest percentage in equity. At the time, when I was telling you that we were 8 to 10% a year in equity, like some states we're lucky to get 3%, So if you want to move into a strong economy, have a great, equity or appreciation that you can earn yearly on your home, like make a great investment, this is definitely a place to be. And then, like I said, we have the Olympics coming out. So that's going to change a lot too, because when they come out, it's going to create a lot more visibility around the world about Utah that it hasn't done since 2004, but it's going to bring more people out here to consider maybe moving out here and purchasing. So Utah's going to grow again, or people that want to buy second homes out here to, come out on vacation and then rent out the rest of the time.
Yeah.
But, and during that time, if you have a place out here, Airbnb it, make some money.
I love Airbnb ideas. I just don't want one right next door to my house.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't want that. I get it.
In what ways, as a real estate agent, do you differentiate yourself from other realtors for a potential client relocating to Utah, Northern Utah?
So there's so many things I could say. But I would say, so one of the biggest things is I'm a very, very, very big communicator. So when someone's out of state, they may or may not know the area, right? They may just have a blind transfer here and they have no clue where they want to live, what any neighborhoods are like, things like that. So really the first thing I like to do is have a detailed kind of Zoom meeting with them or FaceTime so that we can see each other, they can get more comfortable with me. I can get more details in regards to what they're looking for. Like, tell me about what kind of a neighborhood you want. Do you already know the areas? And then I can recommend more areas to them. I also like to give them, like, let's say they are describing places that they love and I know neighborhoods that would work. Then I like to send them links on Google Maps to certain neighborhoods and show them, here's like how far restaurants are. This is the walkability of this neighborhood. I'll even drive through certain areas and like FaceTime them or send them little clips, like little snippets.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, just to give them an idea. But I'll also send them, like I said, like Google Map, like little links so they can click. And then you know how you can drive around on your computer? So I'll do that as well so that they can kind of drive around certain neighborhoods and make sure that they're happy with, what kind of cars might be parked there, who knows. So other things that I like to do for them is when I FaceTime them through homes, because a lot of times they can't fly here, right? They can't just fly every time they see a home that they want to see. So I'll FaceTime homes with them, but I really, like, everybody can focus on like, oh, look at this beautiful kitchen. I like to focus on, we're going to look at the furnace. We're going to look at the water heater. Is everything up to code? How does the foundation look? What does the roof look like? I'll also ask like a lot of those questions to the agent ahead of time. Like, did you know when the roof was replaced, electrical, depending on the age of the home, things like that. But I'll highlight those for them as well. In addition to, obviously, if they went under contract, they'd have it inspected. But I'm doing this right now with a client who's out of state. So If there's something they want to fix up in the home before they move out here, I'll recommend contractors take them through for quotes so that they can kind of get the process moving and figure out who they'd want to use, get them on the schedule, set up like mobile notary for them. If they can't come into town and close, then I'll set up a notary to come and meet them somewhere, or potentially like an online signing, those types of things.
That's great. You're a full service, and that's exactly how I am. So I
Love
think
it.
that's one of the reasons we get along so
That's
well.
like friends.
Are you seeing in your market, are you seeing multiple offers and we did talk a little bit about where most buyers are coming from the West Coast. Are they coming from other areas?
Yeah, so we do have some other areas. Like I think I mentioned Arizona. We'll get some Colorado, some Idaho, and then the East Coast. Like I've gotten a couple from New York. Multiple offer situations do happen if it's priced appropriately. They will go in a timely manner, but maybe like you're up against 2 to 4 offers max. So it's not as cutthroat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not like 10 or 15.
Yeah, I've been up against 52 offers before. So
Whoa.
yeah.
Okay.
During
That
COVID
evidently
here,
was very underpriced.
yeah, no, it was just COVID. Everything was just, you couldn't even
Wow.
figure out where to price it. I mean, homes were going, depending on like where they were already priced, anywhere from 100,000 to 250,000 over asking. And there were most of the time when I was going up against other offers, it was in the 20s. But then I went up and like to 52 offers before. So
The most I've been up against is 32.
wow.
31 plus, and we got it.
See, that's what I'm saying. It makes it fun because you're like, oh, I've got great strategies, but it's just about if your client is willing to do the strategies.
And it's also the agent to agent relationship.
Yes.
I find that that's really key because we were number 32. We were not the highest, but because of my relationship with the agent on the other side, we were able to come up a little bit more, and they got the house. So it was a
So
win-win.
perfect. Yeah, I love that. I value that as well. I value creating relationships with them. I kind of, if I don't know them, I don't want to give away my secret to them if they watch this, but I'll always try to kill them or win them over with kindness in the beginning too, just to be like, hey, you're going to want an offer from me. Like we're, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Here's what I do. It's fun.
We'll have a 5-point touch system. We'll talk about that at another time.
Yeah.
But if I don't know the agent, it really comes in handy. And I've taught classes on this, et cetera. So I think that's what does it. It's that agent to agent relationship.
Yeah, I totally agree.
How are you seeing your area evolving in the next few years? So I know we talked about the price points going up anywhere from 5 to 10%. Do you see more building? Do you see it staying strong? What do you see? What do you think? What do you foresee, I should say?
I would say, so definitely, with the Olympics coming out here,
Yes.
I do see that we're going to grow in population again. I mean, that would be my prediction, right? Once the Olympics hit, I feel like more people are going to want to come here. So I feel like, that's like 10 years from now, but I do feel like our population will continue to grow. We haven't really declined in people moving here from out of state. So I think we're going to continue to grow in population. Our traffic might get, a little more clustered, but there's construction everywhere around here right now because they're obviously working on all of that stuff. But also equity, just, we're just such a strong state and we have such a great percentage that we earn in equity every year that I see like in the future that we're going to get back to that 8 to 10% and maybe even more. But for now, I'm good with where it's at because I feel like, people need to be able to afford a house. So
Yeah, that's what's tough, even here in the Bay Area. The people that are doing the services can't live here. It's too expensive unless they're living from an inheritance standpoint that they grew up here and et cetera. So it's tough when the prices keep going up.
yeah,
It really is.
It just sucks because everybody has to rent, right? Not everybody,
Yeah.
but a lot of people.
And when our kids grow up, because Casey's 12 and I know you have 4, correct?
No, I have 2 that are not mine. I just mean like they're my persons that I'm with now, Josh's.
Yeah.
But he's got 2. He's got an 8-year-old and a 14-year-old. So an 8-year-old boy, 14-year-old girl. But I'm so
Gotcha.
lucky because they're so freaking good.
Well, and when they get older and they want to buy a house, it's going to be tough. We're going
I
to have
know.
to co-sign and help with that.
Mhm.
When I see a 20 something come in with, 500,000, $1 million down, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's typically from the parents.
Yeah,
It's yeah. So
I know. So it's kind of like, do you buy a house now and rent it? And that's going to be something that you're like saving for them for
yes,
later? Yeah, that's
the
my
answer is
thought.
yes.
Because that's kind of what like Josh and his ex have done,
Yeah.
kind of similar to that.
This is not on the questions. I didn't prepare you for this. So, and I ask everybody this when we're towards the end.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite, only one real estate story you would like to share?
I would say one of my favorites, and this is more of just like a compassionate one, would
Okay.
be when this was when I was kind of newer in the industry and I was helping this couple find a home and they could barely afford the house. You know what I mean? And it was a really cute house. They were wanting to get their family like into something that made more sense to them that they could grow in, and they wanted to have like a feeling of seclusion and some horses and things like that. And it was a really adorable home in a great area, and we were getting it for them. And this is where it gets compassionate more, is that the seller was only offering 1% commission. And I just chose to, like, because after talking to the agent, I knew I wasn't going to get more out of him that way. So I chose to not tell my client about it because there's no way they could have even have paid
Yeah.
me, you know? And so I just didn't tell them, and I just kept going, and I got them the house because like throughout the whole process, we were all crying together, you know, because they were getting this dream home that was just so tight for them, and
Oh, that's
especially
wonderful.
from where they came from. Yeah. But that was, I think, one of my more compassionate ones, just because, it wasn't,
That's a good story.
but yeah.
Well, and I always tell my clients, them purchasing a home or them selling a home is not dependent on how I live. It helps, but I'm not dependent on it. So, and in order to be able to do something like that is wonderful. It really is.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. I know it wasn't like anything too exciting, but
It, it was nice. So, Kamee, thank you so much for being on the show. And if anyone has a referral to Northern Utah, your favorite realtor is Kamee Shrope. So
yeah.
be sure to refer to her. She's my number one that I will refer to as well. So that those times will come. So,
I love
Kamee,
it.
thank you.
You're welcome. Can I add something?
Yes, you
Okay,
may.
I want to add one thing, because here's the thing. I feel like my biggest piece of advice for people that are relocating is find a good agent as soon as you know this is a possibility. Like, find somebody that you can connect with, that you trust, and create that relationship sooner rather than later. Because I feel like one of the other mistakes that people do is they find them right when it's time, and they don't know how they're going to work with them. They can't meet them
Yeah.
in person. And that way you and this agent can kind of bond and create a relationship and start building that trust, and also get to know each other so they can figure out what you're looking for more, so you're not so like rushed and pressured in the end.
That's smart. Thank you.
Yeah, I had to add it.
And your information will be on this podcast, so they'll be able to call you first.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.